Hello, how are you? Well, I have to answer a question today, and yeah, I wanted to write it in, and I was kicked out 3 times, and I finally decided, no, I think I need to do a video because that's extremely important. Because it is also a lot of people use this word or this chapter in Ezekiel 37 to think, about this Gog and Magog war. They always put this together. Okay, these two. They always say Ezekiel 37 and 38. But 38 is at the end of the 1,000-year reign, at the end of the millennium. And of course, 37 is about the millennium. Okay, it's about the millennium. And I think Ezekiel 37 is most of the time really, what do you call it? Misinterpreted. The whole thing is misinterpreted. Why? I don't know why. Okay, number one, because people believe dispensationalism. That's really where the whole thing is coming. Of course, they're also believing the Zionists, whether they're Zionist Jews or Zionist whatever. It really doesn't matter. I'm trying to find the question where that somebody asked that question. I hope it's not gone now. There, Gil. Okay, Gil. Gil was writing me the question. Question is, how do you explain Ezekiel 37, particularly the last 5 verses, so 24 through 28, doesn't forever mean forever? Because in 24 says, and David my servant shall be king over them, and they shall have one shepherd. Okay, that's what it says. Oh. Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, this is, okay. They will have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgment and observe my statutes and do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given into Jacob my servant, wherein your father have dwelt, and they shall dwell there, even they and their children and their children's children, forever. And my servant David shall be the prince forever. It says, my servant shall be prince forever. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them, and I will place them and multiply them, and will send my sanctuary, and I will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. Okay, forevermore. 27, my tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And the heathen shall know that I, the Lord, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them evermore. Very good, very good, very good, very good. Why? Because it's always misinterpreted, because they connected now to Ezekiel 38. And then they're saying, oh, in Ezekiel 38, which actually comes after this right here, must be, of course, also afterwards. Because Ezekiel 38 is at the end of the 1,000-year reign. Because right now, here we need to define what time is he talking about. What is this time that they're talking about? It says, and David my servant shall be king over them. Okay? David my servant. Who is David my servant? Before we even think about who are they, the people, right? We have to say, okay, here is David my servant shall be king. Who is David the servant? That is, of course, Jesus Messiah. Okay? Messiah, the descendant of David. That is David, my servant. So here he is talking about what? A time when Jesus reigns. That is the 1,000-year reign. That is the millennium. Okay? That is when he is here, and he will be over them, and they shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgment and observe my statutes and do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given into Jacob. So they will dwell in that land right now, which is called the promised land. So the question is now, first, number one, what time is that? What time is it? When will this happen? Is this happening today? Okay, because I think that is what this person is now asking. Okay? No, it's not happening today. Number one, Jesus is not here. Messiah is not here ruling the land. Number two, the Jews are not following Messiah right now. They're not following him. They have rejected him. Okay? So this is not the time when they're supposed to be living in the land. It's going to be during the time, and if we are assuming it's the Israelites or whoever, we're going to have to define that. Of course, he's talking about my people, right? The land I've given to Jacob, okay? And so on. And he will tabernacle among them. What I have talked about exactly, right? He will make with them an everlasting covenant. Now, how long is this covenant lasting? Everlasting covenant. He was asking, well, how about forever? Is forever forever? Now, how long do we know that this kingdom of Jesus on this earth will last? 1,000 years. What happens after 1,000 years? Well, we'll see that in Ezekiel 38, what's going to happen, right? Israel was sitting in peace, and they all thought they were sitting in peace. And then all of a sudden, after 1,000 years, the whole world, maybe the Gentile nations, will go against Jerusalem again. Okay? But of course, at that time, because all the people that live around there, in that area, they're all, of course, following Jesus, Messiah. Messiah will swoop in and destroy these Gog and Magog. Okay? But again, we need to explain people. Now we have defined when will this happen. Okay? This is the millennium. This is when Jesus Christ is here. I suggest that you also read Ezekiel 14. I say that all the time. Read Ezekiel 14. Then you will see what happens before Jesus returns. There's going to be a battle. And you know what? The Jerusalem today, Israel will not be spared in that battle. No. Even the women will be raped. There will be people taken captive. Plunder will go on. There's even an earthquake. Okay? Half of the city, or even 1/3 of the city, will be destroyed. Read it. That will happen before Jesus establishes his kingdom. So now we will decide who is left over. When Jesus puts his foot, and you need to go there, really, to Ezekiel 14. When Jesus puts his foot on, what is it, Mount Zion? Or the Mountain of Olives? I don't remember. We can go there, actually. Okay? Because we need to understand the time period. Okay? If we don't understand what time period we're actually talking about, we can forget it. So we're talking about Zachariah. I guess it starts with a Z. Zachariah. It doesn't want to come up when I tell it to. Okay, Zachariah 14. Please look at that with me. A day of the Lord is coming. This is what we're talking about, the day of the Lord. The beginning of the day of the Lord, that is also starting with the wrath of God. Jerusalem coming. Jerusalem. When your possessions will be plundered and divided up within your very walls. I will gather all nations to Jerusalem to fight against it. The city will be captured, the houses ransacked, and the women raped. Half of the city will go into exile, but the rest of the people will not be taken from the city. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations as he fights on the day of battle. Now, he does fight, but people, what also happens? Jerusalem already was in a fight. They already have fought in that battle. Okay? They are already defeated. They are already killed. Why? Because they were not protected by God. This doesn't look like God protected them. Why? Because they are not following God right now. This is happening very soon here. And then on that day, his feet will stand on Mount Olives. Okay? And then there will be an earthquake, and you can continue to read. And then he will appear in the sky with whom? His people. That's in 5. And all the holy ones with him. Now we're going to have to look at this picture. This is the picture that will happen before Ezekiel 37 that Ezekiel didn't tell us about, because Zachariah told us about. Okay? Before Jesus' reign starts here on this earth, this is going to happen first. And so then you'll see the people groups. You see, most people were already killed in this war. Okay? It's called the Armageddon War. Some people, were raped and ransacked, blah, 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 and then there's an earthquake and people died again. Okay? And then you will see Jesus with the holy ones. Who are the holy ones? Okay? So they are not the ones that will live in that land that Ezekiel 38 was just talking about. Because the holy ones are the ones that have a transformed body, and they were raptured, taken out before this war started. Okay? Before the wrath of God started, they were taken out. And they were with him in the rooms that he prepared, called the huppah. If you're familiar with that term, they were with him in the huppah until the wrath has passed. Ezekiel 26:19 through 21. And then after the wrath, he appears with his holy ones in the sky. See, many places we only see Jesus appearing in the sky after the wrath of God, and the people don't see the holy ones. But that doesn't mean they were not there. Okay? So it cannot be the bride of Christ that will settle around Jerusalem. It has to be real people. They're real people. Now, who is left over? Real people that will settle. Of course, we assume it is Israel, right? We assume it's Israel. Now, let's talk about Israel. How many tribes are left of Israel? How many? There are only 2 tribes left, Judah and Judah and Benjamin. The rest of the tribes, they are scattered. They are mixed among the Gentiles. And we actually see that if you go back to Ezekiel 38. Okay, let's go back to Ezekiel 38. No, 37, sorry. 37. You actually can see that. Okay, but again, many people interpret it wrong. Here is talking about bringing together the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Israel. Not the tribe, but the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel. And the kingdom of Israel here is represented by Ephraim. Okay? It says, I belong to Judah and the Israelites, which is only Benjamin, really, associate with him. So Judah and the Israelites associate with him, which is only Benjamin. So you have Benjamin and Judah. And then belonging to Joseph, that is to Ephraim and all the Israelites associated with him. Ephraim was the representative of who? The 10 tribes that left Judah. Okay? Called Israel. But he is specifically talking about belonging to Joseph. That is Ephraim. Okay, because that's one of Joseph's sons. Why did he do that? It's very simple. We know that Ephraim, or the Israelites associated with Ephraim, they were sent in captivity and never returning. They were mixing under the Gentiles. And so Ephraim, long time ago, even Jacob prophesied that. That's why he picked Ephraim. Go back and read that. Because he knew Ephraim would become the father of many nations. Gentile nations. If you look at the original text, it's actually talking about Gentile nations. Why? Because Ephraim was mixed throughout the Gentiles. He mingled his genetic whatever material with the whole world. And so Ephraim became symbolic for the Gentiles. And when Paul addressed that in Ephesians 2, and he addressed that, okay, exactly that. He said, when the two become one, and I just recently made a video, maybe it was even the last one I did, okay, where the two become one, Gentiles and the Jews become one. This is what the intention was of God. It's not the two tribes or the two sides, the two kingdoms coming together, but it is the Gentiles and the Jews coming together, becoming one. The two sticks of wood coming together. Joseph again becoming symbolic, okay, for the Gentiles. Remember, there were two women of Jacob, Rebecca and Rachel. Not Rebecca. Rachel and Leah. Okay? 12 tribes. No, it's not 12 tribes. I think more. But Joseph and Benjamin was from the tribe, from Rebecca. Not Rebecca, Rachel. I need to get these women right. So Rachel. Okay? And the rest most of them were from Leah. And Leah's children were always fighting the children of Rachel. They were jealous. That's why they sent him, or almost killed Joseph, and then sent him in slavery. Okay? You understand the history of this whole thing. They were always warring against each other, and they were jealous of each other. And this is what God was meant to do, to bring the two together. Joseph, Rachel, who was the mother of the Gentiles, and Leah, of course, symbolically, people. Okay, symbolically. And this is then what Paul picked up in Ephesians 2. The two coming together as one in one new being. Okay? In one new humankind. No more fighting. Okay? No more fighting. And we have to understand that. Okay? We have to understand that. It's very important. So then, of course, when we talk about this, the Jews or the Hebrews, right? When we talk about that, we need to keep that in mind. The Gentiles were always counted amongst the tribes. Always, because there were always some Gentiles that would follow God, the Jewish God. There were always some. During Jesus' time, we know that there were many Greek and Romans that followed the Jews. We know that from Paul when he went out to the various synagogues and preached the gospel. There were always Gentiles there that listened, okay, in the synagogues. He always reached the Gentiles almost at the same time. And the Gentiles were the ones that actually picked up and ran with the gospel. And the Jews were rejecting it. And we need to understand that. Okay? So, but I'm getting off my topic. So again, we're defining who is left over during the time that Jesus is in the land and is ruling the earth. It's not the bride, and the bride consists of Gentiles and Jews, Hebrews and Gentiles that accepted Messiah, whether it was after he came or before he came. Those are the bride of Christ. Okay? And then after the time was up, after the day of the Lord started, the humankind had an end to accepting Messiah. There were still people during the wrath of God that followed Messiah. But they were no longer bride. They were the 144,000 that were sealed in Revelation 7. They had to go through the wrath of God. Okay? The bride didn't. So who is going through the wrath of God? Who are those people? Well, in Revelation 7, the 144,000 sealed, looks like they are from Israel. But we already know that the tribes, the 10 tribes of Israel, Ephraim, didn't even exist anymore. It was mixed under the nations. It became part of the nations of the world, of the Gentiles. So that has not changed. And symbolically, though, they are counted under the 10 tribes. Look at the number. 144,000 is 12 times 12 times 1,000. That is not an actual number. That's a symbolic number. So alone the number, the amount of people that were sealed is symbolic. Each tribe has 1,200. Again, that is symbolic. It's not going to be exactly 1,200. They're symbolic. The tribes stand symbolic for the believers, for the true Israel of God. Okay, for the true Israel of God, which Paul addressed, those are the believers, regardless if they are Gentiles or if they are Jews, because we cannot identify Ephraim anymore. Ephraim is part of the Gentiles. We only identify right now the Jews, the people that are from Judah and Benjamin. And even that one is mixed amongst the Gentiles. Okay? So this is all symbolic. So these are the people that are then left after the wrath of God. Those people that continue to hold on to Jesus even when after the rapture happened. The church is gone, the bride of Christ is gone, and now what we have is only the 2 witnesses that are witnessing for Jesus and telling the world that Jesus is coming as ruler. Okay? And during that time, we have these people that will resist the mark of the beast, but they will be beheaded. Okay? And those are the ones that are left over. They will be also resurrected. Those that did not take the mark. Revelation 20. Okay? They will be resurrected. And then they will be gathered by the angels, because they will be invited guests to the wedding. And those are the people then that will inherit the land around the New Jerusalem that came down. Jesus now is building the New Jerusalem. It's a heavenly New Jerusalem. Okay? It's not an earthly. That earthly Jerusalem will be devastated. It will be destroyed. Jesus right now is building a new Jerusalem, and that's why he's saying that he will dwell among them. Okay? In Ezekiel 37 at the end there. Okay? He will tabernacle. My sanctuary will be among them forever. What's the sanctuary? The sanctuary is the new Jerusalem that he is building right now, the rooms he's building right now for the bride. Okay? That's the sanctuary. This is how he dwells with them. It says forever, but it can't be forever because eventually this world will come to an end. But again, for the believers, it will be because they will most likely, maybe at the end, change. I don't know because I don't find anything, to that regard. I know the people that live during the 1,000 years is most likely will live about 1,000 years, okay? They will probably, get extremely old, okay, very old. And again, I don't know, it's not in the Bible how this all going to be. Will they be transformed like the bride at the end? But obviously it looks right here in Ezekiel 37 that they live here, okay? My dwelling place will be with them. How is he dwelling with them? How is he with him? He's dwelling here in the new Jerusalem, okay? In the heavenly Jerusalem that will be here on this earth. And then all nations will know, okay, who he is, and will have to come to Jerusalem every year for Sukkot. Okay, that's in Revelation 21 or 22, okay? Or it could be even in Zachariah 14. Read Zachariah 14 as well. This is what they're talking about. This is not talking about Israel today. This is not Israel today. This is Israel during the millennium. Okay? And it will not just be Jews. It will be Jews and Gentiles that have accepted Jesus or will follow Jesus during the wrath of God after the rapture. Okay? And they will have a worldly human body. They will produce children. They will get sick, but they're healed through the leaves of those trees that are growing on the side of the stream that's flowing out of the the tabernacle of God, or the city, okay, of God. You can read that in Revelation 21 and 22, okay? And then, of course, in 38, what do we see? We see the Armageddon War, which is after the millennium. People, this is the millennium. This is the millennium to the T, okay? It says one nation, in my translation, NIV, one nation under one king. This is not Israel, what Israel is right now trying to do. Israel right now is trying to get a greater Israel. Actually, they want to be a world government. They want to rule the world. This is not what the Bible says. There is going to be one person, and that's Messiah. Okay? And it's not the Jewish Messiah. Because the Jewish Messiah is not what's going to come. They can scream all they want. It's going to be Messiah, Jesus the Lord. The Messiah. The one that already came 2,000 years ago and died for all of us, Jews and Gentiles. And if they don't want to take him, why would they be ruled? Why would God have them in his kingdom? The kingdom is for those people that will accept Jesus. And the rest is going to be dead anyways. They're all going to die during this bloody battle of Armageddon. Look at the bloody battle in Revelation 16, 12? Okay? Revelation 16, 12 to 16. The bloody battle. Or read Revelation 14 at the end. Who do you think is in that bloody battle? It's all of God's enemies. And right now, Israel is God's enemy. You can do what you want. You can cut me and tell me I'm wrong. I don't care. This is what the Bible says. The Jews are God's enemy because they're rejecting Messiah. That makes them enemy. That makes them antichrist. Okay? Because they don't believe Jesus came in the flesh. And I'm coming to an end because my video is already long. I hope that I explained that. Okay? Jesus will rule forever. He's Lord. He's God. Why would he not rule forever? Okay? Now he's going to rule forever those people that will accept him. I had another conversation with a German lady about, Calvinism, and then I shouldn't even go there. But anyways, it's you make that decision. It's free will. God does not force anybody. He doesn't make anybody. This is where we then go wrong. And we believe that God is making people follow him. No, this is a tactic of Satan. God is not making anybody follow him. He wants people to have a free will. He wants his bride and his followers to be freely following him. And not forcefully. Forcefully, or if you make somebody, that's forcefully. It doesn't matter how forceful it is or how it is. If a person does not have a free will and you tell somebody you're going to do it because I say so, because I have the authority, that is not free will. And that is what Satan is all about. And I will not bow down to Satan. I will not bow down to Satan. Anyways, coming to an end. Let the Holy Spirit guide you always.